Today, I'll be telling you how the cost system will change after the 3.2 livestream yesterday, since a lot of 5 stars are being given out and a lot of system changes have happened. To refresh your memory, the cost system so far takes the average strength of all limited 5 stars as a metric to judge clears and DPSs. It also takes into account the fact that limited 5 stars are inherently rare and stronger than non-limited 5 stars, and with efficient team building, any team will always get stronger when they increase in cost, until around 24 cost, where teams equalizes and become more situational as seen in AS0 AV clears. That's why all limited 5 stars including light cones are treated as 1 cost each, while standard 5 stars being not as strong and giving 2 opportunities to guarantee will lead them to being 0 cost. Only up to 1 standard light cone will be 0 cost though, since there's no way to guarantee besides buying from the shop, and it's most time and pull efficient to only buy 1. BP light cones are treated as plus since while they satisfy the accessibility criteria of being even rarer than even limited 5 stars and costing actual money with no way to circumvent, they don't satisfy the strength criteria since they're mostly dogshit with only 2 of them being decent. Now for the changes to the system, the first thing I'll address is the fact that 3 limited 5 stars are added to the 50-50 loss pool, but they are still 1 cost and that will not change. Why? Because one of them is give or take top 3 best DPS if not a contender for the best DPS. Secondly, these 5 stars are being added to the pool doesn't give you any ways to guarantee them as they are not standard characters. So just having a small chance of them when losing 50-50 doesn't change anything at all in terms of their rarity and strength, not to mention the other two. Blade and Silver Wolf are getting buffed to keep their strength as limited 5 stars. The next change will be regarding the fact that we'll be getting a currency to straight up buy a limited 5 star for free from the shop. This currency is not as common as you think, as other than the free one that lasts only for 2 patches, there seems to be no free-to-play way to obtain it reasonably. And just like how ratio and a third standard character still being 1 cost, things that are given out for a short amount of time will not impact the cost system in any way. So disregarding the free one, we get a limited amount of time. You either need to recharge hundreds of dollars during the anniversary event, which is downright ridiculous, or get 2 dupes of a 5 star after reaching their max idolins. So basically an E8's 5 star, which is completely insane even if you count standard 5 stars. To put in perspective, after playing for 2 years and being really lucky with losing 50-50s to only Bronya most of the time, I only got an E7 Bronya. And if you do not count the only time I spent on the game, which was on E6 Acheron, that means only E6 Bronya was obtained by me with F2P means and supernatural luck. So E8s of any 5 star is too ridiculously rare and will most likely take you over 4 years minimum, which means it is not a reasonable way to obtain a limited 5 star by getting 9 copies of another 5 star. In terms of both accessibility of the method and strength of the characters being given out, this feature fails on both fronts, being not accessible and giving out characters that are on the level of strong limiteds such as Rame. Hence, this feature does not change the cost system in any way either. Maybe it'll make an impact if there is a more accessible method to getting the currency used. Otherwise, the conditions are just too crazy. The last change is where the devs are adding some limited light cones to another shop where the currency is obtained from BP. This method lets you get a limited light cone completely F2P with no additional cost once every 4 patches, which makes it extremely accessible. But despite being more accessible than even max copy 4 stars and standard 5 stars, Since limited light cones like Rame's are still pretty strong, for balancing purposes, only one limited light cone from the shop can be counted as zero cost. Since if there's too many, the cost system will be meaningless, despite the insane accessibility of the method. This is why we need to judge with both strength and accessibility. Just because you can get multiple limited light cones a year as an F2P for no additional pulls doesn't mean they should be all zero cost if they're in the shop. That's all the 3 changes from the livestream yesterday. If you want a more in-depth explanation of the cost system, watch my previous video for that, as this one is just mentioning the changes, and I'll see you in the next one.